Yo, what is good, Suave City? It's me, Chalito Suave, here with another video. Today is about recording guitars properly. Now, I've titled this in a way to get other guitar players in here as well, because I've been seeing a lot of very bad information out there about how to record guitars through a VST or through a digital amp, through a plug-in amp, if you will. So at first I'm gonna start off with a rant, and then to Inti Gory, I tagged you on this because this is the video for you because you wanted to know how you can record a little bit better in Studio One for your guitar. So at the end I'm gonna talk about that. But let me just start off with the rant for all the rest of you guitar players who probably here for that main thing. Um, let's switch over to my screen real quick, and we'll explain some things as to why I before I even switch, let me just so you understand why you should listen to me, okay? I'm a certified audio engineer. I've been working recording and live audio for the last, I don't know, 7 years, and I've been playing guitar since I was 10. I'm 27 now. It's 17 years of guitar. Is it 7 years of audio? I think it's I see. I graduated audio school in like 2019, but I started doing audio way before that in like 2015. So it could be about 7 to 8 years of audio and 17 years of guitar. So I'm gonna switch this over to my screen because there's something very important that I need you to understand. So take a look at this. This is about levels, okay? So I know that these other guys brought a bunch of stuff to you and showed it. Like the last guy that talked about impedances, like conveniently showed you the difference in volumes with a black screen and not showing you what the inputs were at. You don't get quieter signal by gaining up. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I'll explain to you why you don't want to do that. Okay, so headroom, guys, that's what you should leave your mixing engineer so you can mix better. And generally, if you're recording, try to stay between -16 and -20. That's the greatest advice I could ever give you, so that you never have any issues when it comes to mixing. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this instrument level. Now, you see, it's covering a wide range. Let me explain why. Your your signal, okay, your signal when you're recording should fluctuate. That's called dynamics. So when you look at the arrows here going multiple ways, it's not because they're not sure. It's because it's supposed to fluctuate between here. It's not supposed to stay hard at one thing unless you throw a limiter pedal, which I don't even think those exist, but if there was a limiter pedal and you put it in front of your amp, that's what you would be doing. But no, don't do that. So let me show you why you don't gain up your interface when you hit input monitor, okay, or when you want to record. So I have my trusty GNL here. Just gonna grab them, and right now the volume's at 8. And if you look at the screen, pay attention to the screen and look at and see what volume this thing's at. I'll even grab my pick and I'm going to strum. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you there. But I'm going to strum as hard as I can, okay? So, obviously on my hottest pickup, it gets a little louder. But it's really low. It's about -30 on average. Either one, okay? So watch what happens when I hit input monitor, or instrument level, sorry. I'm going to hit the instrument level button, okay, which you all do, or you should be doing, if your interface has it. Now it's engaged. Let's do the same test. Up here is 0, just FYI. So that was peaking about -6, and the average was about -20, okay? And mind you, this is different than what it's going to receive in your DAW, okay? And if we look back at this, where does it say to be? About -6 to negative 30, okay? So what that means is you shouldn't be gaining up your inputs. That would be the dumbest thing you could ever do, okay? Because it's already setting the level at exactly what an amp should be receiving. If you gain up your knob after hitting instrument level, what you're doing is you're throwing a boost pedal before the amp. Now, if you want a boost pedal before the amp, go for it. But then they'll tell you, oh yeah, but once you gain up, you need to open your amp and then bring the input down here to gain stage. Let me tell you guys something. The only people, okay, the only people who really gain stage are live audio engineers. If you're gain staging in the studio, you're not doing it right. Okay? Gain staging is the idea of I need more power, so I'm going to gain up and bring the overall volume down so that we're at the same point. So even if you did that, you've done absolutely nothing. Okay, you've done absolutely nothing on a technical field of volume, right? If you gain stage, gain up, and bring down, you've literally just basically kept it at 0. But in guitar terms, no, you didn't. Okay, in audio field, yes, if we were doing that, if we were to gain an input up and then bring the volume down and essentially keep the overall volume at the same thing, you've absolutely done nothing. Okay, this idea that you can gain up and bring down the input and then all of a sudden is going to sound better and clearer. You've literally brought it back to ground zero. You've done absolutely nothing. But, a big but, that's usually talking about mic levels, okay? If I go back to the screen here, mic levels are lower, so we can do that a lot more. And when we gain stage, the reason why we need to bring the volume down is called feedback, okay? We deal with feedback with live mics and stuff like that. But you do not do that with the guitar input signal. You're not gain staging your guitar input signal on the way in, okay? That's after you've mic'd up the amp. That's when you start doing gain staging. That's different. But that's like throwing a compressor on it, boosting it, and then bringing the volume down because you didn't set it quite right, okay? That's what gain staging would be in recording terms. The compression level and how much the compressor is getting. But on the way in, do not do that. Because technically what you're doing is you're throwing a boost pedal in front of your amp. And then what you're doing is you're gaining it up, and then you come over here and bring the input down. So what does that mean? Well, you've distorted your signal more, and you've brought the guts of the guitar out. So you've sent more distortion and less guitar. Guys, it's really simple. Just leave the guitar input at 0. That's how it works. It's literally supposed to make the interface disappear between you and the virtual amp. And you're trying to get the preamp sound now. That sound that he was showing, okay? First off, that sound is preamp sound. Okay? If you gain up a preamp, it's going to get noisier. And it conveniently, he showed a black screen when he showed you the difference between the gained up one and the non-gained up one. How convenient. That's not how it works, guys. You don't gain up and get quieter noise. That's not how preamps work. Okay, unless you go from a cheaper interface to a more expensive interface. Yeah, I could see that possible. Because more expensive preamps have a little bit more output with less noise. Yeah. But you're not going to gain up your interface and get a quieter sound when you're not playing. So, don't gain your guitar input. That's the dumbest thing you can do. Anyhow, now to the main thing of this video. The rest of this video is for my viewer. You asked me, Intigori, I don't know how to really pronounce your name. You asked me, what is the best way to record your plugin? I think you said you had Neural DSP. It's very CPU intensive. You have 2 guitars having the same tone going panned left and right. And after you heard me talk about saving your CPU and you wanted to know if you should use a bus or an effects channel, and I told you to use an aux, and you weren't quite sure what I was saying to do. So I'm going to explain that here. So I'm going to switch on over to Studio One. The rest of you guys, I've already said it. Those guys are idiots. Don't listen to them. Just set it to 0. You're done. Have a wonderful time rocking. If you want to hear examples of the way the guitar sounds, just stick around. You'll hear that I don't do anything else but leave it at 0. Okay. Now, if I come over here, so you have I'm gonna go to my console here. So you have Neural DSP, right? So obviously you could throw it straight on the track, right, and record it. But then you have to bounce it out, and then every time you want to do a track, you have to pull up an instance of Neural DSP again, or you already have it loaded. And if you have them playing through while they're loaded, your CPU is gonna tank. It's awful. And if you're running off of an external SSD, you're literally destroying your SSD. So what you want to do, okay, is 2 options, right? You can go there and then just commit it, bounce it out, and be done. Or you could throw it on the input side. So you can come over here and throw it directly on the input. Now, why might you not want to throw in the input? It's just an extra step to come over here and do that. Okay. So what the other option is to use an aux. Okay. So I have 2 auxes here, these 2 gray ones, right? And if you notice, the outputs are kind of weird. They're off, right? They're not your normal outputs. And I'm going to explain to you why. Let's see. Can I drag these together? Okay, sweet. So I'm going to show you a couple tricks you can do. So number 1, in order to do this properly, you're going to want to create ghost outputs. So if I come over here, all right, as you see, none of these are going anywhere. All these ghost outputs don't go anywhere. Okay, it doesn't matter if you have 2 inputs, 4 inputs, or 8 inputs, or 24. Okay, you can create ghost outputs. And it's basically just a digital signal to send one place from here to there. Okay, it's a really cool feature Studio One has. Now, if I come over here to my auxes, okay, I can send them to the ghost outputs. My ghost outputs are stereo. So in order for your situation, I created a left-right. And I'm going to take it a step further and show you something else you can do. It's called a virtual DI. Okay. So I have this muted right now. And in fact, I'm going to take this off of this input so it doesn't record. Because I want to show you something really cool. So in this case, I'm doing a DI and a wet signal. So if you look right here on my auxes, only one of them has the sound. And then I have it going out the right. Okay. Now, the only reason I labeled it right is because you said you wanted to do stereo. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. So technically, if you want to do left or right, you just put the sound on both auxes. And then you can commit the sound to the left and the right. In fact, I can drag that over. So I could send, okay, signal from this channel to here. And channel from this channel to here. Now, what if, okay, you wanted to just use one instant, right? I could technically send this out here, put this to output right, and then this one could be, I can change the output to output right as well. So then what happens is it's going to go through the amp, and it's going to go to both of these audios, okay? So then you could just pan one right, pan one left, okay? And then you go just off of one. You can go to 2 different sources. So that's one way you can do what you're trying to do. Now, the other option, okay, is what I would actually tell you to do just in case. And actually, you can kind of do this while doing this, okay? So as you see, I have these going to these 2 right here. But then, let's say I just want to make sure I'll be able to reamp. Sometimes you have the perfect take, and you can't recreate that perfect take again, okay? So what I'm going to do is this one's going to be my dry signal here, okay? So now I'm going to just call these both wet. Right, and then this one's going to be dry. Why would you do that? Because just in case you don't like your sound that you chose, you can still re-record and throw the sound on there. Okay, so now if I hit record, because both of these are set to 1, I'm going to have 2 instances of the same amp going left and right, and then I'll have one instance that's dry. Okay, so it's going to come through here. See, the input is the same. It's going to go left out here, and this one's going to be dry. So instead of labeling it left, right, you can label it wet and dry, or you could just create another one and just call it dry. Okay, so I could just come over here and just add a mono and just call it dry. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and say apply and then make default. Now, one thing, when you hit apply, all your inputs typically will disappear if they've been on one of those inputs that you changed or whatnot. But now what I could do is, like, just to make it easier for my brain, I can change this to dry, and I could change this one's input to dry. So now, this is my dry signal, right? And then these two are both wet, and they're coming out of here. In fact, I can add another one just to make it even easier on myself to not get confused. Add another one, and I'm going to call this one wet, and I'm going to keep them. You know why? Because as I'm doing this, I'm like, I don't know why I didn't set this up. As a guitar player myself, that's actually very useful to have one called wet, one called dry. So then I'm going to make that the new default, okay? And then I'll hit OK, and so there we go. So now I can, instead of calling this right, I can call it wet. And I'll come over here to the output section, and I will click wet and do the same thing here. And so now what's going to allow me to do is I'll be able to arm these tracks. Okay, you hear the sound from this. So I could hit this. You see the signal going through. Now, FYI, if you have the same exact sound going twice, what happens is the sine waves, they stack on top of each other, and they double the amount of volume by, like, essentially 10 dBu, which is like a volume measurement. So what you would want to do if you're doing this is highlight both of them and just bring the volume down by like 5. So you could just, like that, and that'll be a good average. That'll be a good average volume. And then you can record to both of those at the same time. One's panned right, one's panned left, okay? And at the same time while this is happening, record a dry performance. And then what you can do is now send this dry performance, if you recorded it, out the wet, and then the dry performance will record through this channels again. And then you could just throw the amp onto these right here and re-record the sound. So this is like my most efficient way. It's like a digital DI using these ghost outputs. It's an overkill, and it's overkill, but it's also very powerful and really good for guitar players. So if you're in Studio One, dude, make some ghost outputs. You can create a digital DI and save yourself a headache. So that's my advice, recording with something that's very CPU intensive, okay? You can do this too with your mic input. So you can call this, you can make this like a record bus, okay, other than throwing it on the inputs. And I could literally send the signal of my mic through here. So my mic is on 3, right? And you see that signal. I can essentially create a mic channel strip like this and send it to different things. Like, let's say I want my vocal chain. Let's say I have like some auto tune or something. So I'm gonna get the auto tune on there, and then I'll have like other stuff, right? And then I could literally come over here to the dry and throw my vocal through an amp and have an amp effect at the same time. So it's a really unique way of working because as it is, you can do a couple things. Like, so let's say I could set this input essentially the way I would do it, at least. Sorry, this input would still be 1. Okay, sorry. I'm flipping in my head here. So it's on these that I can do it, not the auxes. That's an aux. So what I could do is essentially, if I wanted to, I can go to the outputs here and set this one to dry. So you see how this one has the amp? Okay, if I highlight this, you'll see my vocal going through both of them. And what's happening is I'm literally sending one through the amp and one dry. So you can record your vocal chain through an amp or whatever the heck you want. And it's a really cool effect, something you can do. And yeah, so It's not just for guitar players. It's for singers too. If you're recording yourself, you want to create something really cool, unique. I've seen a lot of people throw vocals through amplifiers live. It's actually a really cool thing. If you're a harmonica player, dude, this is the way to do it. You can do it like that too. So if you have any questions, hit me down in the comments. Hopefully this has been helpful. Once again, do not gain up your guitar input. Just leave it at 0. That's the way it was intended. Hopefully that clears everything up. Um, once again, my name is Chalita Suave. I have some presets up on the exchange called Mateo Sassado and Arena Ready. They're very dope. I'll just give you guys some quick little sound samples so that you guys can hear it before we log off here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys Arena Ready. I'm going to arm this. And after I arm it, I'm going to mute my mic so we don't hear double. Okay, so there's a sample of Arena Ready, and just to kind of show you what's going on. Once again, I showed you guys that the splitter is for sound design. So what's happening here is a very cool thing. If you look at the splitter, I'm using the frequency split. So I have this amp right here that is a little bit more dry, or a little bit more distorted. It's taking care of the low end of my guitar. And then this amp here is taking care of my high end. So it's a solo-y type thing. So when I'm doing chords, it's nice and crunchy, and when I get up to the solo range, it's nice and bright and clean. And then I have it going through a couple of stuff. So you can pick this one up. And then last but not least, I do have my Mateo Sassado one up. It's been updated. So if you downloaded it before, it's been updated for now. So let's so you guys can take a listen to that one. Let me show you guys that one. Something a little quick for you guys there, but there you go. That's the Mateo Sassado preset. So once again, Mateo Sassado preset and Arena Ready are now available on the exchange, along with my 808 sounds and some pads that I've created. I'm doing a lot of sound design for you guys here on the exchange. So please, if you like these sounds and you download them, give me a 5-star, dude. Please, I'm trying to become the Studio One god of presets, so that I can rep you guys on HMD one day. Because HMD got nobody repping Studio One. So if you guys want someone to show up and rep Studio One, let me know. I'm working on my first album right now, so we gonna get there. We gonna get there. But please, please, please leave me some stars if you like the sounds that I'm giving you guys on the exchange. Now, these are not available anywhere else if you're not on the exchange yet, but I will be creating a website early on in the new year, and then I'll have them up for available purchase for those Studio One users who do not have the exchange right now. But if you aren't on the exchange and you find no reason to have it, I'm a Studio One user now. Okay, so it's about to get lit in that exchange, bro. I'm gonna put y'all on some game. I'm gonna give you guys some awesome vocal channel strips, stuff that I record people with on a daily basis. So, yeah, once again, I'm Chalita Suave. Welcome to Suave City. Hit that subscribe button if this has been helpful for you. And, yeah, let's start cooking, guys. Start recording. Make your awesome amp sounds. Now you know how to do a digital DI in Studio One and how to record your guitars properly. So, hopefully this didn't piss you off either. But, yeah, go tell your friends how to record a guitar properly, okay? You can turn that gain up a little bit and get a good recording, but the problem is, just FYI, if you gain up, just make sure you watch the meter in here. Like I said, you don't want to record really higher than negative like 16, or you can get to negative 12, but try not to get to negative 6 or unity, okay? Because if you get to unity, you have very little headroom to work with when you're mixing. So I always suggest try to get that thing a little bit lower. Just because it's low doesn't mean it isn't loud, okay? Because I can record here, and you guys were hearing my signal there. But if you're paying attention to that master, it wasn't that far. It wasn't that far away from unity on the master. So especially if you have a lot of signal, do not record at unity. Try to get that signal at least between negative 16 and negative 20 to save yourself the hassle in the mixing process. So Chalita Suave out, Suave City, we up. Please, 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 if you're going to download the presets and you love them, leave some stars on them. I've already seen that a lot of you have downloaded them and not left a single star. And I'm trying to rep y'all at HMD, so help me out, help a brother out, and just get me going. Also,